Hi everyone, I'm Sindhu Manne of second year CSCD and today I'm here to discuss about introduction to JavaScript. So let's look at the overview of this video. This video includes introduction to JavaScript, its uses, pop-up boxes, data types, variables, operators, conditional statements, looping statements, functions, objects and built-in objects, events and event handlers of JavaScript. Introduction. JavaScript was invented by Brendan Eek in 1995. JavaScript is a scripting language most often used for client side web development, which means that it is used to develop the front end of an application. JavaScript is an implementation of ECMAScript standard. The ECMAScript, which stands for European Computer Manufacturers Association script, only defines the syntax or characteristics of the language and a basic set of commonly used objects such as number, date, regular expressions, etc. The JavaScript supported in browsers typically supports additional features which include window, frame, form, DOM object, etc. Uses of JavaScript. To create an interactive user interface in a web page, JavaScript is used. These interactive user interfaces include menus, pop-up, alert, windows, etc. JavaScript is also used for manipulating the web content dynamically, which means changing the content and style of an element, replacing the images on a page without page reload, hiding or showing the contents of the page, and many more applications. Pop-up boxes. JavaScript has three kinds of pop-up boxes, which include alert box, confirm box, and prompt box. The first one is the alert box. The alert function displays a message in a dialog box. This dialog box will block the browser. So its syntax is alert of the text to be displayed ending with a semicolon. The next one is the confirm box. The confirm function displays a message in a dialog box with two buttons, which are OK or cancel. The confirm returns true if the user clicks OK. Otherwise, it returns false. Its syntax is var variable equal to confirm of a content which you want to ask the user. Let's see an example to understand this. So basically, the JavaScript is always included in the script tags. So always include the JavaScript in the script tags, which is included in the head tag or body tag of HTML page. So as we have seen that the syntax of alert function is alert, which contains the content to be displayed. Here I have written click to proceed in the alert function, and I have also written the confirm function, which contains click here to proceed. Let's see the output for this. So for the alert box, we have got here click to proceed message in the dialog box. So after pressing OK, the confirm box is called. The confirm box here shows two options, OK and cancel. So if I press OK, it returns true. If I if I had pressed cancel, it should have written false. Since I haven't declared any function in the code or which to retain the confirm function value, so there will be no message on the web page. So this was about the alerts and confirm boxes. The next one is prompt. Prompt displays a message and allows the user to enter a value. It can take two values. One is the message and the other is default value to be displayed in the input text field. Default value is an optional one. Without default value, undefined is shown in the input text field. Its syntax is prompt of message, comma, default value. If the user clicks OK button, prompt returns the value in the input text field as a string. So its return type is always a string. If the user clicks cancel button, prompt returns null. Let's look at an example and understand prompts. Like the earlier example, here I have just changed the function to prompt. Since prompt returns a value, I have assigned it to a variable. We'll see what how variables are declared, but here let's understand that here in JavaScript, variables can be declared using the var word, var reserved word. So var space the identifier or a variable, and I'm displaying the content on the web page. So let's see the output for this. So it's asking us to enter a user ID, and I have entered 123 and clicked OK. So since I have entered 123, the prompt takes it as a string and it is displayed as 123 on the web page. Even though I have entered a number, it is always taken as a string by default. So this was about alerts and prompt. Let's move into the next topic, which is variables. Variables are the containers for storing data. All JavaScript variables must be identified with unique names. These unique names are called identifiers. Identifiers can be short names like X and Y single characters or more descriptive names like age, sum, total volume, etc. There are some rules that have to be followed while naming variables, and they are: variable names can contain letters, digits, underscores, and dollar signs. Names must begin with a letter. They can also begin with a dollar or an underscore. Names are case sensitive, which means the lowercase and uppercase characters or strings are different variables. Reserved words like keywords of JavaScript cannot be used as names. JavaScript variables are of two types, namely local variable and global variable. JavaScript local variable. A JavaScript local variable is declared inside a block or a function. It is accessible within the function or the block only. JavaScript global variable is accessible from any function. A variable that is declared outside the function or declared with the window object is known as global variable. We'll see what objects are in the upcoming slides. So there are four ways to declare a variable in a JavaScript. They are using var, using let, using const, and using nothing. The difference between var, let, and const is that the variables declared using var are global and they can be redeclared. And coming to let, these are blocked scope. So they have scope limited to a particular block and they can also be redeclared. The variables declared using the const are similar to the ones declared using let. The difference is that these cannot be redeclared. Let's see the examples. So here I have declared two variables x and y using var, let, const, and using nothing can also be done. So its syntax is var space variable name equal to a value. The value can be of any data type. We'll see what data types are in the next slide. Data types. Data type is a predefined memory location. Data types in JavaScript are of two types, primary data type and composite data type. Primary data type includes number, boolean, big int, string, null, undefined data types. And coming to composite data type, they include object and array. So first, what is a number data type? Number is integer and floating point numbers. And boolean is a true or false value. Big int stores integers which are too big to store by number data type. Null is used to represent nothing. String is a sequence of alphanumeric characters. Undefined is used to represent the value of an uninitialized variable. So coming to composite data types, object is a named collection of data and an array is a sequence of values. Let's see an example to understand data types. So here within the script tags, I have declared variables of different data types using the let keyword. So their scope is limited to this particular block. I have created variables of data type. First one is string, then number, then boolean, undefined data type, null, array. Array objects are included within the square brackets. And the object. Objects are usually declared within the curly brackets, which are braces. Then I tried printing all this using document.write. So document.write is used to print data to the web page. And for a new line character, you have to print break tag. So let's see the output for this. So I get all the data that I have declared. Since I have used the break tag, so each statement gets printed in the new line, or else it could have been on the single line without any spaces, which makes it clumsy and cannot be understood. So this was about data types. Let's move on to the next topic. Operators. JavaScript operators are symbols that are used to perform operations on operands. There are following types of operators in JavaScript. The first one is arithmetic operators, which are used to perform arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. The next one is comparison or relational operators. These are used to compare two values, and these are less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, not equal to. Bitwise operators. Bitwise operators are used to perform bit level manipulations. These include bitwise or, bitwise not, bitwise exclusive or, etc. Logical operators include logical and, logical or, logical exclusive or. The next one is the assignment operators, which are equal to, and you can also include shorthand assignment operators. Ternary operators are also known as conditional operators. Their syntax and performance is similar to what we have seen in C and Python and Java. Let's move on to the next topic, which is conditional statements. The JavaScript conditional statements are used to execute the code whether the condition is true or false. So, which means a block of code is executed based on its nature. If it's true, a particular block is executed, else some other block gets executed. Different types of conditional statements available are if statement, if else if, switch statement, ternary conditional statement. The syntax for this is similar to the ones in C and Java. Let's see an example to understand conditional statements. So here, using the prompt which we have earlier discussed, I have taken an input number. Since the input is always in terms of a string, I have converted into integer using parseInt, which is a built-in function, and have assigned it to a variable, which I have declared using a var keyword. So here I have written an if condition. If x is greater than 0, write the value of x to the web page. So let's see the output for this. So let's suppose I have entered 10. The value gets printed here. Had I entered any negative values, what happens? Let's see. So nothing happens. Since when condition is false, we haven't written anything, nothing happens. So now let's try if else. So here in else, I'm mentioning an alternative statements that has to be printed when x is a negative. I'm making few changes to the code. So here I have used the if else. Let's see what happens now. Suppose I have entered minus 95. So here I am getting x is negative. Let's see, trying giving a positive value. X is positive. So based on the condition we have written, we get the output. So now let's see how if else if is written. So to if else we include if else if, which is if else if of a condition. And now finally we write the else block. Since x is neither positive, negative, nor zero, so not positive nor negative, the rest option is zero. So let's see the output for this. So we are getting a hint to enter a value. For suppose I have entered 0. X, which since x is 0, we get x is 0 on the web page. Suppose a positive value is negative value is given, we get x is negative. And similarly, when a positive value is given, we get x is positive. So this was about if, else if, and if else if. So let's see switch statement. So switch statement is used to test multiple conditions at a time. Here I have taken an input from the user using prompt, and I've asked the user to enter a name from Chris, John, and Paul, and have saved it to a variable. And using the switch statement, we try to print the names. So the syntax is switch of variable or condition. Cases include the values that the variable can have. Since there are three values here, John, Chris, and Paul, we get three cases. And when the entered value is none of the above, we have to print a default value, which is used print using default block. So if the entered value is John, we are writing to the web page John. Similarly, if it's Chris, we write Chris. And if it's Paul, we write Paul. And if it's none of the above, we write no match. Let's see the output for this code. Since this is case sensitive, we have to write according to that. Since I have given a correct value, we get Chris. Suppose I have written some other name, say Jack. Since it is not matching with the ones that I have asked, so we get no match. So this was about switch statement. So now let's move on to looping statements. JavaScript loops are used to iterate a piece of code based on a condition. It makes the code compact. It is mostly used in arrays. There are four types of loops in JavaScript. The first one is for loop, the next is while, do while, and for in loop. Let's see an example to understand loops. So here in this example, in the script tag, I have mentioned the type of script tag equal to text JavaScript. It's an optional attribute. It is to mention that the document is of JavaScript type. Have declared a variable using the var keyword, which is count. And I'm writing to the document starting the loop. So for count, until the count is less than 10, I'm printing the count value to the screen. Once the loop is ended, I'm printing loop stopped. Let's see the output for this. So the first statement is starting the loop and as I've written the for loop and printing the values until the count is less than 10, beginning with 0, current count value gradually increases, and when the loop ends, we are printing loop stopped. So this was about loops. Let's move on to the next topic, which is functions. JavaScript functions are used to perform operations. We can call JavaScript function many times to reuse the code. Its syntax is function space the function name, which has parameters of arguments from argument 1 to n number of arguments. It can have any number of arguments. And this function block consists of the code to be executed. Functions can be used to reuse the code. So it enhances the code reusability. So instead of writing the code repeatedly, you can execute this code simply by calling the function. JavaScript functions can have zero or more number of arguments. So some of the built-in functions of JavaScript are eval of expression, which evaluates an expression and returns the result. If finite of x determines if a number is finite. Is none of x determines if a number is not a number. Parse int of s converts string literals to integers, which we have earlier used in the previous slides. There I have mentioned that it is used to type conversion into int. Similar to parse int, we have parse float, which converts string literals into floating values. Let's see an example to understand functions. So here I've written a function space function name, which is my function. It has two arguments p1 and p2. And in the loop, in the function body, I'm returning p1, the product of the two values that I have passed. Here, I'm directly printing the value to the browser. The function is called my function of the values 2 comma 3. So here what should happen is it should return the product of 2 comma 3, and the output should be printed to the browser. Let's see what happens. See, the product equal to 6 is what we have got here. Since 2 into 3 is 6, and have called the function my function of 2 into 3, 2 comma 3, sorry, we get the output like this. So this was about functions. The next topic is objects. A JavaScript object is an entity having state and behavior, which is properties and methods. For example, car, pen, bike, chair, glass, keyboard, monitor, etc. JavaScript is an object-based language. Everything is an object in JavaScript. JavaScript is a template based and not a class based. Here, we don't create class to get the object, but we directly create objects. There are three ways to create objects. The first one is using the object literal. The syntax is object equal to within the braces properties and their values separated by colon, and multiple properties are separated using comma. We can include any number of properties. The next way is by creating an instance of object directly using the new keyword. Its syntax is var object name equal to new object. The last way to create objects is by using an object constructor, which uses this keyword which refers to the current object. Let's see an example to understand objects. So here I have created an object. Objects can be created using var, let, or const. Here I've used let, and the name of the object that I have given is person, which is equal to within the braces its properties, which are name, age, gender, address, and hobbies. A, an object can have another object inside it. So the name is a string, age is an integer, gender is a string again, and here address I have given another object which includes the details of the address, which is street, city, state, and zip, which is the pin code. And hobbies, which is an array object. It consists of an array object. So this person is an object. And now I'm writing the output to the console. To write the output to the console, we use console.log. So to write it to a web page, we use document.write, and similar to the console, we use console.log. So how can the properties of an object type can be accessed? So its syntax is object.property. Since the object type is, so object name is person, and I'm trying to find person name, his age, and since address is an object inside another object, so to access the properties of that object, we use person.address.city. And since hobbies consists of an array, array elements are accessed using subscripts. And next, I'm adding properties to the object. This can be added using object name dot property equal to a value. So here person dot email equal to johndoe@example.com, which is his email ID. And the next statement, I'm printing the value. To update property values, we use object dot property equal to a new value. To delete object properties, we use delete space person dot gender, which is object dot property, which deletes the object property from the object. And finally, I've tried printing all the data in the person object, which is using a for in loop. So for of a variable name in object, and in the loop I have tried printing to the console. And to print the properties of an object, we use subscripts. Person, within the subscript, the variable name that I have given. And to check if a property exists in an object or not, we use the in keyword. So property in object is used to check. So let's see the output for this. Since we are writing it to the console, there will be no output on the web browser. So as per the statements that I have written, I am getting the values. The first one is the person name, age, address, city, and hobbies. Then the email ID, which I have added to the object. Then updated value of the age, his address, hobbies, email ID. And when I've tried checking if a property is present in an object, the return type is true or false. Since name is present in the object person, we get true. And gender I have deleted earlier, so we get false. So this was about objects. Let's move on to the next topic. Before that, let's see some of the built-in JavaScript objects. Some of the built-in JavaScript objects are array, boolean, date, error, function, math, number, string. Array is used to create an array object. Boolean creates new Boolean objects. Date retrieves and manipulates dates and times. Error returns runtime error information. Function object creates new function objects. Math object contains methods and properties for performing mathematical manipulations. Number object contains methods and properties for manipulating numbers. String contains methods and properties for manipulating text. Now, events. An event occurs as a result of some activity. For example, when a user clicks on a link, when a page is finished, or mouse cursor enters an area, a form being submitted, etc. These all can be considered as events. So, event handlers is a segment of code to be executed when an event occurs. So, when an event occurs, event handlers perform some action to show that the event has occurred. The attribute names typically take form on followed by an event name. So, here the on click event handler is added to the attribute tag, which is A, which consists of an hyperlink. So when the hyperlink is clicked, we get an alert message. Let's see some of the inbuilt event handlers. Some of the event handlers which are inbuilt are on change, on click, on submit, on load, on reset, on resize, on mouse down, on unload. The on change event handler occurs or changes the value of the text area, or a drop down list. The on click happens when a link or an image or a form element is clicked once. On submit occurs when a user submits a form. The on load is triggered when a document or an image is loaded. On reset is triggered when the form is reset. On resize is triggered when a form is resized by the user. On mouse down is triggered when the user presses the mouse button. On unload is triggered when the user closes a document frame. So this was about events and event handlers. Thank you everyone.